Hey dojo friends, let's take a look at this beautiful Paul Chen Hanwei Orchid Katana. Are you ready to join me? She's a real beauty. Isn't this a beautiful and graceful katana? This is a Paul Chen Hanwei Orchid Katana. Now this model is no longer produced, and it's well, I think, above the quality of the less expensive Golden Oriole Katana, which I don't think is a folded blade. The overall length of this sword is 40.5 inches. There, as you can see, it's a good sized long sword. In my opinion, this is what I would imagine to be like an elven blade. Those of you who like Tolkien, Lord of the Rings, this is a gracious and elegant sword that I can imagine someone like Thranduil or Gil-galad, Luthien, or Elrond might carry into battle. It's just a beautiful, thin, which I'll show you in a moment, much thinner than normal sword blade. I love how swift and just this would be in battle because it is a very, very light blade. It is a heavy sword, but with a light blade. Now, let's open her up. This is a used sword because obviously it's not brand new. I'm just going to take a moment to clean the blade a little bit, get all the leftover oil on it from oiling it. So let's take a look at this now. This is a 11.5 inch handle. And the same is, of course, real ray skin inside there. You can see the skaito is this nice blue wrap. If we look here, the Tsuba guard is made of blackened iron. And as you can see, there's golden orchids painted in gold on there. Very beautiful motif on there. On this side of the Tsuba guard, you can see these butterflies here, which are inlaid with gold, silver, and copper. So those are actually built into the Tsuba guard. They're not painted on, they're actually filled in here. So this is a pretty high quality Tsuba guard for a mass-produced sword like this. As you can see, the saya here is a deep blue lacquered scabbard. And as you can see here, look at this decoration here. Again, this makes it look very elven to me. You have the golden orchids painted here as well. This, I think, is just made of iron or something. You have the koiguchi, which is made of buffalo horn, so it's a little bit harder wood than this. And the kurigata is also made of buffalo horn. The sageo is blue, silk or cotton, I'm not sure which one, and it's dark blue to match this really thin and elegant kind of elven saya here. Both the fuchi collar here, which is this simple black, and the kashira pommel are made of what they say is bronzed iron. And again, you can see this golden orchid motif is painted. These shitodome here, as you can see, that's my only little complaint, is that they're sharp right here. So this is abrasive on your hands if you're using sword work. Of course, my hands are callous, it doesn't bother me. But if you're not used to the sword and you're moving this hand around, this is pretty sharp here because, as you can see, these have a jagged edge on them. The transition to the wrapping is very nice. There's no layer here or here where it bunches up or is going to impede your hand movement here to the collar. This handle is quite long and it's double pegged. I have not taken this apart, but I can tell by the weight that the tang goes at least down to here, and as you can see the pegs there. I don't know what the manuki are, I can't tell underneath. As you can see, there's one here and one here made of brass or something, but I can't tell what that is. I don't know if that's a bird or perhaps it's an orchid theme. This particular Hanwei sword, because it's an old style, really had more care in it than some of the modern ones, so I'm guessing that these manuki probably matched the rest of the motif of the sword. This habaki here, as you can see, is made of solid brass, and it has some abrasion on it from whoever the owner was before me. Drawing the sword in and out, of course, is going to scratch this over time. You can replace and buy these if you want, but I think it's good enough to leave as is. It's still in really good condition. Each piece of these Orchid series swords has a hand-forged and folded what they call a K120C powdered steel blade. So as you can see, there's a grain here that's called hara. Hara is this wood grain pattern, and that's kind of a giveaway that this is not just one piece, it's multi-folded, multi-layered here. The entire length is 28 inches, and it has a nice sori curve, which is 0.75 inches, so it's got quite a curve to it, which again is why I call this kind of an elven-looking blade. The back of the blade here has a HRC 40 hardness on the mune, and here it's HRC 60 on the hardened edge of the ha down here. So this is harder, this is a bit softer metal. There's no bohi on this, no fuller at all, no blood grooves, so as you can see, it's just one beautiful piece, and it's a bit, it is kind of a light blade. I would say this is a medium heft blade. I do have ones with fullers in here that make them lighter, so this is a bit more of a hefty, thin one-piece curved blade, really going to do some severe damage to whatever you decide to cut with it. This cloud temper line here called hamon is a notare, which is a wave swelling pattern. And look at that beautiful hara design. No two swords like this that are forged are ever the same as far as the pattern. This granular pattern here is always unique to each one of these swords. Has a kind of a medium kisaki at the end there. Very, very, very sharp blade, obviously hand polished and sharpened by somebody. I don't think that the newer versions of this, which are still not available, were tempered this way, and I don't think that they were forged like this. I have seen newer blades, and I have one in my collection that does not have this beautiful grain of the hara there to show that it was forged. The sword weighs in at 2 pounds, 3 ounces, which is, kind of average for this size sword. And as you can see, that beautiful curve as I bring it across the screen is really elegant and nice. This is definitely a two-handed sword, although of course you could use it one-handed, but it really has a lot of power and leverage. Balance point is 4 or 5 inches from the habaki there, which is about average. Retail, these swords would run for about $1,600 back then. I don't know what they're worth now. I think they've gone far up in value, but this was not a quote-unquote poor man's sword. This is one that you would have to spend some money on because, again, you're paying for the quality of the blade. The koshirai, the furniture, is fairly good quality. It's not the best, certainly not low quality, and everything here matches. So you're paying for the elegance of the sword and all of the matching furniture on here, the color, the uniqueness, the wrapping, which is good quality, tight Ito wrap. It's not going to move at all. I don't know if the person lacquered this or not. Definitely shows signs of use, which was not me because I just bought this a couple years ago, and I have not used this for cutting yet. I'm anxious when it gets warm out to cut some tatami mats with this just to see what a thinner blade will do without the bohi fuller through targets. I think it's going to cut beautifully because I can feel the leverage on it is really swift. But isn't that a beautiful long sword here from Hanwei? Giving one more look down the blade, down the scabbard to the end. Can you imagine someone using this in Lord of the Rings? I certainly can. Many, many years ago when these were available on the market, I didn't have the money to buy one of these, or I wasn't interested in this particular sword, but the Paul Chen line, the Hanwei line, there were several different types of swords that ran from $500 to $2,000 or more. I really appreciate eBay and places now where you can find swords that someone sells from around the world that you and I, if we save up the money and invest in, can pick up one of these old, no longer made swords to add to our collection. These aren't the best quality swords, and they're in the mid-range, I would say mid to high in some cases. But of course, you guys know that you can spend $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 easily on a brand new blade. This one is nice though. I think it's going to cut really well, and it's one of the most beautiful and elegant swords that I have in my collection just because it's unique. It's thin yet strong and has really good leverage to it, and I can imagine a lot of good speed when we get this cutting in the summertime. So there is a quick look at a Paul Chen Hanwei Orchid Katana. Again, good luck finding one of these. They're hard to find, but you might be able to find one. Look at that work. Beautiful. Thanks for taking your time with me to appreciate this beautiful katana. We'll see you very soon. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.